if you were to survey all of these billionaires and ask them what is more important to you, winning or family, how many of them are going to say family? Because I think right now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Revved Up podcast. Thank you for joining us wherever you choose to get your podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe, rate and review us. My name is Marwan Osman, and I am joined, of course, by the one and only Edgar O'Neill. Edgar, what's going on, man?
Not much. Excited to start talking about some races again.
Yep, we are back. I'm glad to be back. And we have, of course, the Canada Grand Prix to dive into. Formula One was out there in the land of maple syrup and poutine, I guess. Which
in Montreal.
In Montreal, which a little side tangent, real quick. Poutine's kind of overrated, in my opinion. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Wow.
Do what you want with that information. I need to try the original thing though. Make the trek out to Montreal. But from what I've had, it's not authentic. But from what I've had, I feel as if it's slightly overrated. Okay.
All right. I'll be. It's a little hot take without having the original. That's all I'm gonna say.
Look, okay. Fair point on your part, but from what I've had so far, I'm unimpressed. But anyways, well, that's completely unrelated to what I'm about to say now, because I have to give them a compliment now. I feel like Montreal itself as a track, as a race course, is actually one of the best ones on the calendar, in my opinion. Yeah. It's a pretty unique track. Overall, though, with the race that we got, what do you think? Entertaining?
Yeah, entertaining, and I'll actually say I came out of the race with a lot of questions.
Now, do you have answers to those questions? Have you just a lot of questions circulating?
A lot of questions.
Well, maybe we'll get to the bottom of some of those questions. The race itself, we got Max Verstappen, of course, P1, followed by Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton there in P3. A podium of champions right there. It was honestly really just fun to watch them in the debrief room. Listening in on those conversations is always fun. But no, overall, the race itself was pretty entertaining. It gave us a lot to talk about. And once you dive past Max Verstappen, running away with it, you get a lot of interesting talking points. I want to start. So normally we, of course, start this thing off by talking about Max Verstappen and Red Bull and how dominant they are. But I'm gonna zag a little where we normally zig. I'm gonna start off here by talking about Alex Albon.
Okay.
Now, he himself had a performance that I would argue is one of the best performances we've seen all season. How would you rate his performance?
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Sure, why not?
I'd give it a 7.5.
Wow. Okay, that's honestly lower than I was expecting. But
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. What? So
he didn't go to the podium. If he had gone to the podium, it would have been like
the man was in a Williams.
Still like
that's the reason why I would honestly give him a 9. Why not?
I'll bump it up to an 8, but that's as high as I'll go.
You are so generous. But no, so he had driver of the day, like we said, slightly as an accolade itself. We don't need to get into that, but it's a fan vote. But yeah, driver of the day for him. In my opinion, this is another case here with Alex Albon where he is in a pretty interesting spot where, we see good drivers on bad teams. We have bad drivers on good teams. Alex Albon would be in that. We'll talk about the bad drivers on good teams in a second, but Alex Albon, of course, would be, in my opinion, he's now a good driver on, I don't want to just throw in bad team labels for Williams because they're honestly on the come up, but would you say that's an accurate assessment of his situation?
Yeah, because I've always thought Alex Albon was a good driver. And I get Williams, it's still a back marker team. But, they're improving. There have been a lot of improvements.
It could be worse. You could be AlphaTauri sitting there with 2 points. But no, with Albon himself, his qualifying was honestly just as important as impressive as his race. He
Mm.
ended. I think he got a bad break there at the end with the rain coming in and just kind of ending the qualifying session. But he, I think in Q2, he got up there at P6. So he himself was just flying out there in qualifying. And then with the tire strategy, he went on a one stopper, right? Do I have that right?
I don't know.
One stopper and 50 laps, I believe, on those hard tires, roughly somewhere around that. Um, honestly, ridiculously impressive. The
Yeah, that's
whole
good tire
time,
management.
I'm just gonna be honest though. The whole time I was watching him, I was keeping a close eye on him, and the entire time I'm just like, when's it gonna happen? You know,
Mm,
when is Williams gonna have their Williams moment? Logan
yeah.
Sargent got the memo. He
Yeah.
was out of there early. He stuck to the script.
Yeah.
But no, Albon was on there, especially on those tires. I was like, all right, what's going on here? Where am I? But
Yeah.
no, he proved me wrong, honestly.
His Duracell worked. Sargent's did not.
I still don't know how I feel about that.
The Duracell thing.
It's one of those things that's so ridiculous that it honestly kind of works.
Well, it's like the chrome wheels on the McLaren, in my opinion.
Nah, that's just bad. That's just
Okay. Okay.
bad design, honestly. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you do reach a level of so bad that it's good. Nope, that
No,
just
no.
stops right before that level at it's just bad.
But the Duracell battery is good.
Yeah, but it's
Okay.
but it's in my opinion just so bad that it's good in a way,
Right.
Have you seen the movie Lucy?
No.
Yeah, watch the movie Lucy. You'll see it.
No.
You'll see a great example of a movie that's so bad that it's good.
Yeah. No. I've gotten many recountings of Lucy.
She turns into a flash drive at the end. Spoiler alert.
Wah, wah.
But no. All right, back to
Mm,
Williams and their Duracell cars. They actually threw out some new upgrades there for Alex Albon. They unveiled them, and they seem to have worked. It's
mhm.
it's always tough with these upgrades because we're at a point now where everybody's throwing them out, and some drivers are getting them, some are not. In the case of Williams, Logan Sargent did not get the upgrades because hey, look, we're sticking to this cost cap. We can
Yeah.
only do so much for one driver. I think they said he's getting their upgrades at Silverstone, so
Okay.
something to look forward to. Williams as a team, are they on the come up?
Yeah. I think they've been on the come up.
Really?
Yeah.
What up until now has given you that
The
feeling?
impression that they're on the come up because they
Yes.
got rid of Latifi. Yeah.
Oh, fair enough. Actually, that itself is probably worth a couple points in the standings.
Yeah.
But no, I've been pretty impressed by what I've seen from them. The the team principal that they brought in from Mercedes, James Vowles, seems to know what he's doing.
Mhm.
And as a team, I think there's reason to be optimistic if you're a Williams fan. I mean, just the fact that we're even talking about them is a miracle.
Yeah. We just
I,
spent a decent
I,
amount of talk on them.
this may very well be the only time we ever mention Williams again on this podcast. But look, we did it. We talked
Yeah.
about them.
Unless they do something about it, Williams. Ball's in your court.
Yeah, that's
Or the tires are on your track.
we'll work on that one. I think there's
Well,
there's something there. Yeah.
I will say this about Logan Sargent. It was interesting when he pulled off to the track that it was in such a good position for them to get the car out of there so quickly. Did you notice that?
Yeah, that honestly worked out pretty well. That
Yeah, it
and
was like, I'm gonna stop here, push it back, push it back, push it back.
that and the incident with I think it was De Vries and Hulkenberg, where they both ended up going running off the
Mhm.
track there, and they had to do some 5 point turns to get out there. I was fully expecting another safety car. I was surely both of them
Yeah.
can't make it out of here, but no, these drivers are showing us something.
Or maybe Canada's really the best track.
Honestly, it really is. Just the layout of the track itself with the chicane and the two DRS zones at the end there is pretty fun track. Williams themselves, I think they're on the come up. Alex Albon had a great weekend. Uh, Logan Sargent, you're a rookie. I'll give you that excuse for now. I think there's,
This
no,
one wasn't his fault.
this one wasn't your fault. No blame Logan Sargent. Now, you, on the other hand, Lance Stroll, do not
Yeah.
get a pass. P9 for Lance Stroll, which he lucked into. I'm going to be honest. What do you think of
Sure.
Lance Stroll's performance?
Di disappointing and for a home race too. So yeah, I really don't.
A lot of talk going into that about home race, and this is honestly a larger conversation we can have of, does a home race really even matter?
I
Because
would hope it does.
I mean, you would think that maybe the drivers can dig deep and find something
Yeah.
something within them, but maybe they just don't got it like that. I mean, this is could be another case of Lance Stroll, obviously just not cutting it. Now I'm gonna do something that I don't normally do. I'm gonna ask for the floor for a second here, because I Lance Stroll is turning me into a hater. Okay, so Lance Stroll himself is obviously the son of the owner, as we all know. Now, he, of course, is coming in P9 here. He's currently sitting, I believe, at 7 and in the standings.
Mm.
Now, early on in the season, there was a reason to be optimistic, and we saw old Fernando Alonso over here, cheering on his buddy, his teammate. We suddenly are seeing that a little less of that. Now, the owner of Aston Martin, as we all know, is the father of Lance Stroll, Lawrence Stroll. He, of course, I don't fully expect him to come out here and say anything about his son, especially definitely not going to kick him off the team or anything like that. But Lawrence Stroll, as we know, is a billionaire. And if you were to survey all of these billionaires and ask them what is more important to you, winning or family, how many of them are going to say family? Because I think right now we're sitting at 98% winning, 2% family. And if it's anonymous, then it's 100% winning, obviously. But no, so he, like his fellow billionaires, likes to win. And obviously you can't kick your son off the team. It would just be bad optics. But
Mm.
recently we saw old Lawrence Stroll sell some stocks from Aston Martin. Now, I'm not saying that selling stocks equals he's just ready to give up on the team, but it is a sign that he's, thinking about it at least. Now he still owns the majority of the team. He's still the
Yeah.
the majority team owner, but still, it was an interesting news article that I saw, and obviously, if I should say,
Mhm.
not that it's going to happen, but if Lawrence Stroll decides to sell this team, I think Lance Stroll might as well just walk on behind him, because
Yeah.
once he's out, in our minds, as far as we're concerned, that's it for Lance Stroll. Because would he be on this team if Pops didn't own the team?
Right now, no. Though
Yeah,
he had good races coming off of the wrist injury.
and I have to look. He's had good races,
Yeah.
but if we were to take a look at these constructor standings right now, we would see that Mercedes has overtaken Aston
Mm.
Martin in the battle for second, which I think is going to be an interesting battle to watch going forward.
Mm.
But I think we're seeing there was the incident with George Russell. I think it was just unfortunate. He's generally a solid driver that you can count on to at least get you points.
Mm.
Can't really say the same thing. I think Lance Stroll is a tier below George Russell, I would say, just from what I've seen early on in the season.
I'll give you
But
that.
but no, what do you think of this battle with Aston Martin and Mercedes then? Do you think Mercedes has solidified their spot as the number 2 team?
Um, I mean, I hope not because I would still like interesting battles moving forward. I don't want them to lock in P2 right now, but man, it's entertaining. I did. I I think because I texted you, I really felt for George Russell during that race because I really thought that they were going to retire the car. And like when they were doing the pit stop, I was just like, I just take it in, just take it in at this point.
Yeah.
But he made a decent run until they finally decided to retire it, I guess.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, the fact that George Russell was even able to get it back out there was a miracle. But
Yep.
yeah, I think just an unfortunate race for him.
I
I
feel
do
like that shows like a bright light for Mercedes. Like the fact that he was able to do that in that car.
I think those upgrades that Mercedes rolled out there have started to kick in. I think they said the main upgrades come out in Silverstone, the
Okay.
the big ones, and so up until now, I think they've just rolled out their early season, slight upgrades, which have shown to be effective, right?
Mhm.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Silverstone has to offer because I think a lot of teams are circling that race as a moment for them to really unveil what they're doing.
Yeah.
Now, the team at the top here isn't just sitting aside twiddling their thumbs. I'm sure Red Bull is working on some upgrades as well, but
Mm,
they have, I guess, less of an opportunity to do that with the cost cap.
yeah.
I think that's how it works. But no, overall, the number two battle is interesting. I think Aston Martin has to start asking some questions at least as
Yeah.
far as what the future holds, because they've really lucked into this Fernando Alonso.
What if, and this is my conspiracy theory, what if this was Alonso's like long game? You know, he saw that Lance was doing pretty good in the early of the season, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna be nice. All right, I'm gonna talk him up, and you know what? That's gonna fuck with Lance's head. And so he just kept planting the seeds, and now Alonso's like, yeah, no, I'm always gonna be number one.
I I think I was saying Alonso is going to be if if Lance Stroll is walking out the door, the person holding the door open for him is going to be Fernando Alonso. I think he's secretly he would like a new teammate because
Mm.
we're talking about the biggest gaps between teammates right now as far as talent. Can you name one bigger than Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll?
Uh, Tsunoda and DeVries. No,
Wow, you think that little of Nick
I
DeVries?
I really do think that Nick DeVries.
And you know what? Actually, I think Yuki Tsunoda has stepped it up this season, so there is something to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm giving it to Alonso and Stroll on that one. Just
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, because how many champions is it? Two or three that Fernando
and
has
I
now?
wasn't even doing it based off that. I was just doing it based off what I've seen this season. If we're doing
Yeah.
it by careers, then yeah, there's no shot there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's not even a question. But I don't know. It's definitely going to be interesting to watch and see what happens with this Aston Martin team. I think overall this season they have been one of the most interesting teams on the grid.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and they'll continue to be that. I hope they throw out some upgrades too, because like you, I would like an entertaining battle for second.
Yeah, but like you said, 2023 is going to be remembered for Aston Martin.
Yeah, and another thing is this going to be a just a blip, or is this going to be sustainable? This because they were an afterthought before
Yeah.
this season. I don't think I've really ever talked about them as much as I ever have this season, but
Mm,
that I mean, and also how much of that is credited to Fernando Alonso. We talk a lot about how you take out Sergio Perez and put in another driver. How many of these drivers are also sitting at second? I think you could do
mm,
something similar to Fernando Alonso, where if you replace him with these other drivers, how many of them are winning and getting podiums like he is? And I think that number is a lot less than what Sergio Perez is, what you would get if you replace Sergio Perez.
yeah.
So yeah, just a testament to him and his greatness. He's earned all of that. Now, I said we were going to talk about Max Verstappen and Red Bull and their dominance. We kind of have to. I mean, it
Yeah.
was getting tough. We started every episode so far this year talking about that. So I thought, hey, let's just save it for the end and wait for that. But no, it was another dominating performance for Max Verstappen, but less dominant than usual? Question mark. What did you think?
No, I mean, if we're as a team, just because of Sergio, yes. But if we're just like talking about Max, no. I mean, he was still 9 seconds, right? Yeah, 9 seconds off of Alonso.
Yeah, less dominant than usual. It kind of overlooks the whole. It's still dominant, like it.
Yeah.
It's and that alone. I was struggling to think of ways to talk about how great Max Verstappen is, but that
Mm,
alone, just that question alone of was this win less dominant than usual, 10 seconds compared to his 23 seconds or 27 seconds, whatever it was in Spain, I can't remember. But
Yeah.
compared to that, no, it's still an all-around impressive, really impressive performance from Max Verstappen. P1 led the whole way. I think he had a bird in his brake ducts or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that
He
was.
did.
I wanted to. I don't know if you saw the pictures. I have not,
I did.
but yeah, that alone was interesting. I think he almost crashed and then laughed about it too at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he's just it's getting a little too easy for him, and
Yeah.
that I mean in itself is doesn't necessarily make this a boring season,
Mhm.
but I think it's it's taking a little something away. It's getting harder and harder to talk about how great he is because
Yeah.
he's probably just as bored of it as we are. But Red Bull themselves are, I think, in an interesting place with Sergio Perez now. That number two spot in the driver's standings,
Yeah.
we're seeing Fernando Alonso start to creep up in, and Lewis Hamilton too is honestly not that far behind. Do you think Sergio's number two spot is in trouble
If he keeps performing the way he has been, yeah.
now? When you say that, do you mean like these top six finishes, or do you mean in qualifying? Because qualifying to me is the big issue here. You can't be in that car and not making it at least to Q1. That's the bare minimum. Honestly, I would expect a
Yeah.
top five finish in every qualifying session, but I mean, what is going on there?
Well, so it's got to be overall because like even if because like when Max gets P20 because of a penalty or something, he still charges all the way back up. So it is both. Like he's messing up in qualifying and he's messing up in the race, or he's not pushing in the race as much as like we know he's capable of, and we know that the car is capable of.
Now, I think you want to do it. Just go ahead and say it. Sergio's wash. Just say it. Come on, man. I know you want to.
How many races are we in?
Honestly,
We're
I've
just we
lost
haven't
count.
even hit halfway, right?
We're still I would say in the early stages of the season, I think.
I think we're coming up on halfway though. All right, I'll say it, but I reserve my right to retract the statement. Yeah, yeah, he's coming up as a wash.
Wow. Well, on the bright side though, we do have once you look past Max Verstappen and that number 2 battle, I think it is up in the air between
Yeah.
Sergio, Fernando Alonso, and Lewis Hamilton. Honestly, no idea who's going to come away with that. The advantage should belong to Sergio Perez. He's the only one that's actually won a race this season.
Mhm.
But Fernando Alonso sneaking up there. I think he's at 6 podiums this season. So
Wow,
yeah, he's off to a great start.
dude,
And
if he wins a race this season, people are gonna lose their shit. I'm gonna lose my shit.
mhm. Do you think Lance Stroll will be happy about that? Because I think secretly he's like, dang, it's making me
Yeah,
look bad.
yeah, I don't think he'd be happy about it.
Like, chill out, Fernando. Come on, man. But luckily, Pops owns the team, so no worries about that for now. Sorry, don't. I don't want to go back to that because thinking about it just makes me mad. So
Yeah.
we're not going to go back to that. But Sergio himself is. I'm not prepared to say he's washed. He's. I just wanted to.
What?
I just wanted to pressure you into it. Honestly, I'm not ready to do that. Hey, man, there's a lesson to be had here. Don't
Yeah.
fall for peer pressure. All right.
Yeah.
Stand
Wow.
by your
Okay.
own. I'm
I
glad
mean,
you could learn something here, but no, it's honestly a very bold opinion by you to have. It's oh man, I don't know if I was prepared for that kind of a hot take around here,
all
but
right.
no, Sergio himself needs to. He definitely needs to step it up. His
Mm,
performance has been lacking. No excuse at all to be making it into not making it past Q2 or
yeah.
Q3 wherever he is now. Um, and yeah, I am at the very least though looking forward to this battle. Red Bull themselves, even with Sergio's struggle, found themselves at 100 wins on the season.
Yeah. Which I was surprised. I thought they would have hit that already
You
because
thought they
they've
would
been
have been
beaten
higher.
since.
Wow. Now, do you know who they're chasing? Because they're now, I think, at fifth. You know who they're chasing at fourth?
McLaren.
They are chasing Williams.
Oh.
You
Oh.
actually, yeah, for whatever reason, Williams themselves are a very storied team.
Yeah.
They have a history of with some constructor champions and some driver champions in there too. And so that, hey, if Williams does turn things around, it wouldn't be without precedent. They would just be getting back to their old ways of winning and
Yeah.
being their little brother team that they've become to Mercedes. Let's go ahead and dive into these driver standings real quick because we were
Yeah.
talking
Hit me with
about
'em.
it. What I found to be the most interesting here is not Kevin Magnussen at 18 with a grand total of 2 points, which honestly, just a quick little sidetrack. Is there a man more cursed in the world, honestly, than Kevin Magnussen? He's just destined to never get a podium. He can't even really start on the podium.
Yeah.
It's just really unfortunate. I was hopeful for him, but oh well.
Yeah. C'est la vie.
Ah, very good. Very nice. Yeah. What also caught my eye here was the battle for fifth and sixth, and that would be between Carlos Sainz and George Russell, who
Ooh.
sitting right now at fifth is Carlos Sainz with 68 points. George
Okay.
Russell right behind him at 65 points. Now, between those two, let me just ask you a broad general question.
Nope.
Who would you rather have on your team right now, Carlos Sainz or George Russell?
Carlos Sainz.
No hesitation on that. That was
Yeah.
actually
No
really
hesitation on that
impressive.
at all.
Yeah. Now, is that in any way an indictment of how you feel about George Russell?
Uh, I mean, a little bit. I've never been like the biggest fan of George Russell. I think he's a talented driver, obviously. Um, I do think Carlos Sainz is better.
I would agree with that. I think
I would have loved because there was one point he did that like sly thing where he was behind Charles Leclerc. And what is it that they say where it's not like let me pass him? It's like, oh yeah, I have a lot of pace here.
honestly, and let's talk about Ferrari real quick because what was going on with them was a little interesting. It was a case of a broken clock, being right.
Mm.
They made the right call, and when the pit stop happened, everybody went in. Ferrari said, "No, we're staying out," and it turned out to be the right call here. Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz finished fourth and fifth there. So I would say overall a good weekend for Ferrari. They made the right call. So if we're quick to bash on this team whenever they mess up, we gotta also give them props, right? So
No,
what would
give him their
you
flowers.
give them flowers? We almost went a whole episode without giving anybody flowers. I can't believe I almost let that
Mm.
happen, but not on your watch.
No, give him the Ferrari.
Oh, Valtteri Bottas, way to rise from the dead and get
Yeah,
points. Good for him, right?
yeah. Let's see if it was a fluke or if he's, awake.
There are so many times where I'm just watching a race and then they'll just mention Valtteri Bottas. I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
completely forgot he is in this race and exists.
Hmm.
But hey, he good for him. He snuck in there thanks to that unsportsmanlike penalty. See a good weekend for Valtteri Bottas as far as I'm concerned. Anytime he's in the points. Now, AlphaTauri, 2 points in the
Hmm.
constructor standings, and then you might see why I'm doing this. You got AlphaTauri with 2 points,
Hmm.
Williams with 7 points,
Hmm.
Haas with 8 points, Alfa Romeo with 9 points, McLaren with 17 points, sitting
Yeah.
at sixth. So we got ourselves a battle for sixth place here. It's heating up. McLaren versus Alfa Romeo. Haas might even jump in there.
Oh God.
It's it's literally the worst case. Well, no, the worst case scenario would obviously be getting last, but no, I'm really excited to see what happens here with McLaren because, as you know, I think the man by the name of Zach Brown is his days are numbered as far as I'm concerned.
Maybe. Yeah, or because they're doing well in their other divisions, and Zach Brown oversees the other divisions like Indy. Um, I know Dakar is just one race, but like that league.
How does talking about McLaren make you feel?
Um, I don't have kids, but like I assume it's like you're talking about your kid that like you tried your best, but they're still like in and out of prison. Um, and it's like you love them, but like God, stop going to jail. That's how I feel. That's how I
Well,
feel about
ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up another episode of the Revved Up podcast. Thank you for joining us wherever you choose to get your podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe. We will, of course, be back following the Austrian Grand Prix.
it.
Peace.
See ya.